Okay, everybody, welcome back. So in this video, I don't know if this is part 3 or part 4 of the live stream setup here. Another quick video in Ableton. The last time that we left off in Ableton, we were I was showing you how I created separate project files or separate Ableton project files for every single backing track. So every song has its own project file. And then in this video, now that that's all been done, and I've programmed all the lighting cues for every song, which I've showed you in the last video, now it's time to take those individual songs and build a master set list. Or if you were going to play a gig and you have 50 backing tracks, but you're only going to play 20 songs, to create a 20-song set list. So you can customize your set every single time you play, if that's what you choose to do. So that's what we have in front of us here. So I've already started this. I'm just going to show you step by step what I did. So basically what I did is I opened up a brand new empty Ableton file, okay? And I started to load the songs in. So let me just show you, if I zoom all the way out here, you'll see how many I've done. I've done 16 songs already, and I know it looks like a mess, but let me show you what this really is here. So if I come all the way over here at the beginning and I zoom in, so let's say our first song here, and I'll show you how to do this. So our first song here, where I put a marker in, is called Tennessee Whiskey. So as you can see here, let me just zoom out a little. Okay, so we have the first song, Tennessee Whiskey. I've color coded each song with its own specific color. So as it's playing back across the timeline, you can kind of see a little bit better the difference, or you can differentiate between the different songs. So here's the first song, Tennessee Whiskey, and here's all the tracks that came in. Okay, and then I put markers at the beginning of the song, which I showed you in the last video, and then verses, choruses, where all the different song sections are. So during rehearsal, during a gig, you can bounce back and forth between one section and another if you choose to, or you could just let it play from top to bottom. And then on the very bottom here, you'll see all the different colors. This is the lighting cues, and I kept them the different colors so I can just, again, see where the audio ends and the lighting begins. And so I have the first song here. The second song here is a song called Closing Time by Semisonic. Okay, and if I come over here and I zoom in a little, you can see that here. And again, I did this pink just again so I could see it better. And then what you'll see down here is because one question that would come up would be, okay, well, if you have, say, 30 or 15 different songs, one after the other, they all play at different tempos. How do you match the tempo per song? So what you do down here in the master track, you have this automation line that you just automate, okay? So the first song was at 51 beats a minute. I'll try to make sure to zoom up on this here. 51 beats a minute. And then the second song is 92 beats a minute. So just like in any DAW, you take your little pencil tool. At the very beginning of the song, I started at 51 beats. I get to the end of the first song, put a point here, and then put a second point and drag that point up to 92. And then when I get to the end of the second song, I bring it to 142, so on and so forth. And this way, Ableton then crosses from one song to the other. It follows the automation line, and you can see it here. And every song I just write in its automation. So it's a real easy way to do it. So that's how you can change the tempo between tracks. Very similar in any other DAW, but I just figured I'd show you that. Okay, so now, if you want to add a song to your master set, like I said, I've already done a bunch of these, but I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do one for you and show you the process. So we're at the end of our last song here. Our last song I brought in was, what was it? I think it was Rolling in the Deep by Adele, okay? And that song ended at 105 beats a minute. So the next song I'm going to do, let's look at my list here. I'm going to do 3 a.m. That's at 108 beats a minute. Okay, so that's not big of a difference. Let me show you how to automate it. So over here, I come to the end of the song here. I click a point, go right next to it, click another point, and now I'm going to go from 105 to 108. Oops, there we go. And you can see, you can just drag it up with your mouse, and I can just bring it, 5, 12. And I just use my little mouse. Oh, there we go. 109, 108, save. Now, if I were to open that up, you can see it's not much of a tempo change here. Now I'm going to bring my marker back to where I want the next song to start. I'm going to save this. Now I have to go to the song file for the song 3 a.m. So I'm going to go open live set, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to find my individual song file for 3 a.m. Okay. going to open that up. See, the thing about Ableton is you have to close one song, open another song, copy and paste. You can't open up 2 song files at a time, which is kind of a drag. Now, because all of my songs have the same tracking list, as I showed you in the last video, I have a standard template. This is the way it's laid out. Every song is exactly the same. So I'm going to start on the first track, the cue track, or the guide track, hold down my shift key, and I'm just going to walk through every one of these events and make sure I highlight them all. Okay. Down to guitar. Then I'm going to do Control C or copy, right? I'm going to come over here, open up recent, go back to my band set. Okay, and I'm going to come over here. Let me just zoom in a little so you can see that. I'm going to come over here to where I want my song to begin right here. Make sure I'm on the cue track, Control V, and here it is. And if I were to play it back, you will hear it.
Breakdown 3, 4.
Okay, there we go. So now once I've done that, again, they're all already highlighted. So if I right click on the first one, I can change the color palette. And I just do that again to make sure every song looks a little different, because when you have all these songs going across a timeline, it's just good to do that. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to bring down my master track. We don't need the automation anymore. Now I'm going to go to the first bar, and we have our control panel or our lighting track, our lighting cues. I bring the lighting cues in separately, and I'll show you why here. So it just makes it easier. I want to bring all the audio and MIDI in, and then I come over, I go back to 3 a.m., which is Matchbox 20, right? I'm going to get all the lighting cues, which start right down here on the last track. I'm going to left click with my shift button here, or left click, not my shift button, and I'm just going to hold, highlight them all, again, copy, and then I'm going to come up here, go back to my band set list that I'm working on, right here, paste. Okay, and now all my lighting cues are in there as well, and I can hit save. And again, I keep the lighting cues different from the audio and the MIDI just because I want to see the lighting differently. And that's it. Now the next step, now one thing that I learned is that even though, let me show you here, I'm going to go back to 3 a.m. If you remember in the last video, in every individual song file, we put all the markers in. But what I didn't realize is when I copy and paste these songs individually into the master set list, which is what I'm showing you now, it doesn't bring the markers with it. So I have to relay out the markers. At least I haven't found a way to do that. Honestly though, it's not a big deal. And you can reference the last video to see how I do that. But I just start at the beginning here. I go right to the beginning, and I make a hit, and I put my first marker in, and I just rename it the name of the song. So this is 3 a.m. Okay. So I always have the first marker of the beginning of every song has the song title, so I can see what song it is while it's playing. I wish there was a way to make this a little bit bigger. I don't see a way to make that bigger, like bigger font, so I can read it better while I'm performing, but maybe I'll figure that out later. But nevertheless, then I go through and I label all the markers. I get to the end, and then I do the same thing again. I come down to the master track. I figure out, well, what is the next song going to be? And I automate the master track for the tempo, and then I just copy and paste the next song in, and that allows me to build a master set list, okay, an arrangement view. And then you can just start from the beginning of the timeline all the way back to the front if you wanted to. And you can also, which I have not done yet, here's the way back here in the beginning, or you can just, you can open this up and you can see it at the top here. You can just drag this with your magnifying glass and your mouse. But I can also, at the beginning of every song, each marker, I can program that or map it to either a key on the keyboard. You can map it to a hardware controller on stage. You can just hit the button, it'll jump to the next song, or you can just let it play from top to bottom. In the next video, what I'm going to do, I'm still learning how to do this next step, so I can't show you in this video, but in the next video, one of the things that you may be asking, or at least the question that I asked was, well, what happens when you get to the end of the song and you're playing live on stage? If you don't hit the space bar or you don't hit a MIDI controller to stop it, it's going to roll right into the next song. And if you want to take breaks in between song, or your singer's doing a little banter with the audience, or you need to adjust something or whatever, if you want to be able to stop the song, you don't want to have to think about it while you're on stage. So there is a way, I'm learning how to do this, to program a MIDI command to stop the song. So when the playhead hits a certain point in between songs, you can have a MIDI note that's programmed to stop, and that'll automatically stop the playhead and won't advance it unless you advance it. I'll show you guys that in the next video because I have to do that now between all these songs. I have to program stop commands. Okay, so that is it. I hope you enjoyed this little Ableton session. Again, as part of my live stream setup. Again, you can reference all the other videos in the Ableton, or it's either going to be live stream, Setup 2020. I'll have a whole playlist of videos so you can go back and check out my whole setup. Again, if you have not been to homerecordingmadeeasy.com before, go there right now, get your 5 free mixing training courses. I have 5 free courses I want to give you just to say thank you for visiting homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Make sure that you like and subscribe and share, and also let me know below in the comments, do you use Ableton Live? How do you run backing tracks? Are you thinking about doing live streaming and backing tracks? What questions do you have? Leave them below. And if you have any Ableton Live tips, I'd love to hear from you because I'm new to this. And if you're brand new to Ableton, I'd love to be able to help you. So let's start a conversation below. Until the next video, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I will see you all soon. Take care.